Smoke covered the sky like a blanket of ash. The jungle had been alive with creatures only minutes ago. Now it was burning. Red fire crackled across broken trees. Strange black machines buzzed overhead, spraying light that cut through anything. That moved. Lariah dragged her mother's limp body under a tree root. "Mother, please, stay with me," she cried out. Sarai's eyes were half closed. Her body was bleeding, her shoulder burned, and one leg twisted unnaturally. They were going to die here. Lariah had lost her spear. Her communicator had been crushed. Her tail was cut and her armor shredded. And Sarai, once a strong warrior, lay helpless in her arms. Then came the sound, two fast footsteps, not the machines. Something heavier. Someone breathing hard. Someone living. A human. Jack Cole crashed through the underbrush, rifle in hand, eyes wide and scanning. His ship had gone down during an ambush from the planet's surface defenses. He was looking for cover. What he found was worse, too alien. Women, one barely alive. The younger, one blue skin, large eyes, fangs, showing in panic a jagged stone at him. "Stay back!" she screamed in her language. He didn't understand the words, but the fear in her eyes said everything. Jack raised both hands. "Whoa, I'm not your enemy. I'm human. Can you understand?" She blinked, then stared at the burned insignia on his chest. UN, United Earth. Navy. She lowered the rock just slightly. Jack pointed at her mother. "She needs help. I can carry her." Still trembling, Lariah looked down at Sarai. Her mother's breathing was shallow. Blood soaked her tunic. Jack slung his rifle behind him and stepped forward slowly, never making eye contact. He kneeled, gently placed his arms beneath the older alien's body. Lariah didn't stop him. She just followed silently through the burning forest. They reached the broken hull of Jack's ship, half buried under roots and rock, tilted sideways. The emergency medbay still worked. He laid Sarai on the table and activated the scanner. Lariah watched from the doorway, body tense, claws twitching. "If she dies, she won't," Jack said calmly. "Not on my watch." The machine beeped. Sarai had multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and severe burn damage to her side. Jack began treatment. Robotic arms moved with him. Foam sprayed into wounds. Biopads sealed flesh. Lariah couldn't look away. She had never seen this kind of care before. Their tribes used herbs, heat stones, and chants. This human was doing something different. Kindness. Hours passed. The fires outside faded to smoke and mist. Inside, Sarai slept in the medbay, her breathing stable. Lariah stood quietly near the wall, holding a warm pouch. Jack had given her some human drink called cocoa. She sniffed it. Sweet, strange, but comforting. Jack was adjusting a panel when she spoke softly. "Why did you help us?" He looked over. "Because you were in trouble. But you don't know us. We're not human. Most of your kind would leave us to die." Jack chuckled dryly. "Yeah, most of my kind would, but I'm not most people." Lariah watched him a long moment. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. "Your scent, it doesn't carry fear." Jack raised a brow. "Should I be afraid of you?" "You should," she said, voice almost playful. "We're dangerous." He smiled. "So am I." Later that night, Jack made space in one of the cargo pods for sleeping. Sarai was still unconscious, but healing well. Lariah insisted on staying close to her mother. She lay beside her like a protective shadow. Jack offered a thermal blanket. "Here," she looked at it curiously, then touched the fabric. Soft. "Better than freezing," he said. "Trust me." As she wrapped it around herself, she looked up. "Do you have a name, human, Jack?" "I am Lariah." She She gently touched her mother's arm. Is Sarai? Nice to meet you, Jack said, sitting down across from her. Even under these lovely circumstances, Lariah tilted her head. You joke. When things are bad, why? Jack looked at the flickering firelight. Because if I didn't, I'd remember how bad things really are. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Lariah said softly, She live. Because of you, I don't know why you helped us, but thank you. Jack nodded, but deep inside, something told him this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The alien girl watched him too closely. Her mother's injuries had come from something unnatural, and the planet was hiding something. Something big. Jack opened the rusted hatch at the back of the ship and took a deep breath of the damp morning air. Mist hung low over the jungle. Like ghost smoke, and birds with glowing feathers flapped through the broken trees. Somewhere in the distance, a predator let out a long, low howl, but inside the ship, it was quiet. Too quiet, he stepped back into the medbay. Sarai was still unconscious, but stable. The bandages he'd applied held. The scanner showed her healing slowly. Jack leaned over, adjusting the nutrient drip. As he did, he caught Lariah watching him again. She stood across the room, arms folded, eyes fixed on his hands. You're awake early, Jack said, trying to sound casual. I never slept, she replied, her voice soft but alert. I listened. Jack raised an eyebrow. To what? To you. Breathing, moving, fixing the things. Jack gave a half smile. Did I pass your test? Lariah didn't answer right away. She tilted her head, her glowing silver eyes narrowing. Just slightly. You make many small noises when you sleep. Groans, soft huffs, like a wounded animal. Jack laughed. Well, that's accurate. Over the next few days, the jungle seemed to quiet down outside, but the tension inside the ship only grew. Jack did his best to keep the space organized. He cooked basic meals from the emergency rations. Lariah refused to eat most of them till he offered her something called peanut butter. After tasting it, she blinked twice, then grabbed the jar and hid it like a treasure. When Jack reached for it later, she hissed and turned her back protectively. Sarai finally awoke on the third morning. Her eyes flickered open slowly. And her first instinct was to reach for a blade that wasn't there. Easy, Jack said, raising his hands. You're safe. Sarai's voice was weak but firm. Where's my daughter? Here, Lariah whispered, kneeling beside her. Mother, we're alive. Because of him. Sarai's eyes flicked toward Jack. A human? Jack gave a small wave. Hi, I'm the reason you're still breathing. Sarai didn't smile. That remains to be seen. By nightfall, Sarai could sit upright. Jack gave her extra protein cubes and water. She ate in silence, her eyes rarely leaving his face. You have kindness, she said quietly. That worries me. Jack blinked. You'd rather I be cruel? Cruelty is predictable, Sarai replied. Kindness hides intentions. Lariah frowned. But Jack just nodded. That's fair. You don't trust me yet. I wouldn't either. There was a pause, then Sarai added, but thank you. It was quiet, but honest. That night, as Jack sat repairing a sensor array, Lariah entered the room with something in her hands. It's a small, square object metal, alien in design and softly glowing. Jack glanced at it. What's that? It belonged to my mother, she said. I found it in the wreckage. She told me never to use it. He looked closer. It pulsed with green light, almost like a heartbeat. It's not a weapon, is it? No. It's older, sacred, meant for bonding. Jack looked at her. Bonding. Lariah hesitated. In our tribe, when someone saves your life or shares a life struggle, you can offer a bond. It's not marriage. Not exactly. But it's serious. Jack raised both hands. Hold on. Are you saying you want to bond with me? She looked away. I'm just explaining. He leaned forward. But why now? Because... She looked back at him, her voice almost trembling. You make me feel warm, even when the air is cold. Jack didn't know what to say. Before he could speak, Sori's voice echoed from the doorway. Put it away. Liraya turned, surprised. Mother, I said, put it away, Sori repeated, standing shakily. Her eyes locked onto the device in Liraya's hand. He doesn't understand our ways. And you don't know what you're doing. I do, Liraya snapped. He saved you. He saved me. And you watch him too. I see the way your eyes follow him when he moves. Sori's lips tightened. That's enough. The device flickered, then dimmed in Liraya's hand. She slowly lowered it. Jack stood frozen between them. Look, I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to help. Liraya's voice broke. But you did. That's the problem. She turned and left. Later that night, Sori sat alone in the medbay. Jack stepped in quietly. I didn't mean to cause trouble, he said. You didn't, Sori replied without looking at him. We caused it ourselves. You are not the danger here. Our emotions are. Jack sighed. I didn't expect to end up in a jungle shipwreck between a mother and daughter. Arguing over me, Sori smiled faintly. Neither did I, but things are changing. He glanced at her. What is that device, really? She looked him in the eyes. It allows two beings to share energy, life, and something deeper. When used, it alters the body, makes it ready for creation. Jack froze. You mean? Yes, she said. It prepares you to bear children. Jack's face went pale. Wait, what? Sori stood slowly. And you touched. That may already be enough. Rain pounded the jungle outside like falling stones. Loud, relentless. It drummed against the metal hull of the broken ship, echoing through the dark corridors like a warning. Inside, Jock stared at the blinking red light on the backup generator. Battery. 4% heat level. Dangerously low, he rubbed his hands together and cursed under his breath. Of all the nights to lose power. The storm had knocked out one of the solar panels, and now the heating system was failing. With the ship half buried in the mud and the cold from the jungle creeping in, the temperature was dropping fast, too fast. Liraya sat near her mother, wrapped in the human blanket, shivering. Even her thick alien skin couldn't stop the chill. That made her teeth chatter. Sori, still weak from her wounds, was fading in and out of sleep. She had no strength to move. Liraya pressed against her side, trying to share warmth, but it wasn't enough. Jack stepped into the room. His breath, visible now. We need body heat. It's survival. One pod, all of us. No arguments. Liraya blinked at him. All of us. It's either that, he said, or you freeze. Your mom freezes. I'm not letting anyone die tonight. She hesitated, then gave a small nod. The sleeping pod was tight, meant for one, maybe two in emergency. But three? Jack lay in the middle, pressed between Liraya and Sori. He kept his arms at his sides, stiff as a board, like he was afraid to even breathe. Liraya, on the other hand, snuggled close. Her skin was cool to the touch at first, but it began to warm. Her tail wrapped loosely around Jack's leg without her noticing. Sori didn't say a word, but her breathing slowed, relaxed. She was drifting into a healing sleep. Then Liraya whispered, Is this normal for humans? Jack turned his head. What? Lying this close, feeling hearts beat, smelling each other's skin. Jack chuckled awkwardly. Well, not usually on the first night. Leraya looked up at him. I like it. He swallowed hard. That's nice. I can hear your heart. It's loud. Must be the stress. She tilted her head. Or something else. Then silence. And then, softly, almost innocently, you feel like safe. Even if you don't understand what you've done. Jack frowned. What does that mean? Leraya didn't answer. She just closed her eyes. Sometime in the middle of the night, Sci-Fi stirred. Her hand brushed against Jack's chest, slow and unsure, as if checking if he was still real. When her fingers accidentally touched his skin, her eyes fluttered open. She stared at him, then at her daughter, who was curled up close to him like a sleeping animal. A flicker of something passed through Sci-Fi's face. Sadness, regret. She rolled to her side, turning her back to them both. Jack opened his eyes then. He hadn't been asleep. He'd felt every movement, every shift, and now the silence around them felt too full. Like something had changed, it couldn't be taken back. The morning was bitter cold. The storm had passed, but the air was wet and heavy. Jack stepped outside to check the solar panel. Mud clung to his boots. Vines wrapped around broken hull pieces. He kicked them aside, set the panel straight, and wiped his face. When he returned, inside, Leraya was already awake, sitting beside a tray of nutrient paste he'd left earlier. She wasn't eating. Instead, she was staring at her hands. Jack crouched beside her. You okay? She didn't answer at first. Then said, something happened last night. I know, I feel different. My skin itches. My head feels light. My chest burns. Jack's eyes widened. That doesn't sound good. She looked at him. I think the bond started. The what? The bond my mother warned you about, she whispered. It didn't need the full ritual. Just closeness, skin, warmth, breath. That was enough. The device simply speeds it up, but nature follows its own law. Jack sat back. Leraya, if that's true, what does it mean for you? She hesitated. It means life may be forming inside me. Yours, ours. Jack froze. Then he heard something behind him. Sci-Fi was standing in the doorway. I felt it too, she said quietly. The burning, the shift, the ache in the core. Leraya turned, shocked. Mother? Jack stared between them. Wait. Both of you. Sci-Fi's face was unreadable. I touched the device before you ever saw it. I thought it might heal me faster. I didn't tell you. I was afraid. You used it before Leraya brought it to me, Jack asked. Stunned. Sora. I nodded slowly, and now I feel the signs. We share the same man, the same bond, and maybe the same child. The silence was unbearable. Jack looked at both of them, one, a proud, battle-scarred mother, the other, her young, curious daughter, and somehow both now possibly carrying his child. He stood slowly, rubbing his face with both hands. I don't know what to say. Sci-Fi gave him a long, serious look. Then say nothing. For now, but soon, the bond will be confirmed. And when it is, your name, your scent, your life, will be known to all our kind. Jack backed away slightly. What does that mean? Leraya stood beside her mother. It means you don't belong to just one of us anymore. Jack didn't sleep that night. How could he? He sat alone near the front of the crashed ship, staring at the control panel, now nothing more than a pile of melted wires and cracked screens. Rainwater still dripped from a hole in the roof, tapping rhythmically onto a steel floor plate. Each drop echoed through the silence. Two women, both aliens, one young, one mature, a daughter, a mother, and now possibly both, pregnant by him. But how? He hadn't touched either of them like that. He remembered everything. There was no moment where he crossed any line. He was sure of it. Yet the signs were there. And what Liraya and Sorai described aches, warmth, tingling skin. Lightheadedness all matched the symptoms he'd seen in cross-species. Reproductive cases during his training. Jack exhaled hard and stood up. He needed answers, and answers started with data. He crept into the medbay carefully, trying not to wake them. But Sorai was already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed. She didn't flinch when Jack entered. She simply looked at him. "I know why you're here," she said. Jack kept his voice low. "I want to scan both of you, just to be sure." Sorai nodded. "I agree." Liraya stirred beside her. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused. "What's happening?" "Stay still," Jack said gently. "I just need to run a scan." "It won't hurt." She blinked, but trusted him. Jack activated the handheld bioscanner. First, he hovered it over Liraya. The screen lit up. He frowned next. He turned to Sorai. He ran the same scan and froze. "Jack," Liraya asked. "What is it?" "Tita, Nate." "Answer right away." His hands trembled slightly. Then he looked up at both of them. The scanner picked up embryonic development, 2 life forms, both viable. Liraya's breath caught. "Then, it's true," Jack nodded. "But something's wrong. The DNA is strange. The scanner says it's human-alien hybrid, but it's stable." "That's not possible," Sorai whispered. "Our people can't carry hybrid life. It always breaks apart before the 3rd cycle." "I know," Jack said. "But these embryos are thriving." They sat in stunned silence. Finally, Sorai spoke, her voice rough. "The ancient stories. They told of a time when bond mating with outsiders brought power. Evolution. But it was forbidden. The priests called it impurity." Liraya stared down at her stomach, now warm with new weight. "And now it's happening again." Jack stood up and ran a hand through his hair. "We need more information. Records. Cultural knowledge. This kind of thing happened before. Maybe there's something we can use to help you both." "There is a place," Sorai said slowly. "Sacred cave not far from here. The texts are hidden there, protected." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Is it dangerous?" She nodded. "Everything here is dangerous." Jack smiled faintly. "Good. I was starting to get bored." Later that day, they prepared for the journey. Jack patched up what was left of his armor, strapping on a shoulder plate and holstering his old plasma pistol. Liraya retrieved a spear carved from a downed branch. She moved with new caution, like her body had changed overnight. Sorai followed them at a slower pace. She leaned on a staff, but her mind was sharp. They moved through the dense jungle quietly. Strange sounds echoed around them. Chittering insects, distant roars. Vines writhed underfoot, and colorful flowers hissed when brushed. This world was alive and angry. But something had changed in the way the jungle responded to them now. No creatures attacked, no drones patrolled. It was as if the planet itself had sensed what was growing inside the 2 alien women. They reached the mouth of the cave just before nightfall. Twisted roots formed a gate-like opening. Bioluminescent moss lit the path inside. The air felt heavy, like ancient breath still lingered in the walls. "This place," Liraya whispered. "It feels sacred." Jack followed closely behind. "What are we looking for?" Sorai pointed deeper inside. "The tablet of lineage. It will tell us if your presence here is fate or accident." The 3 stepped into the stone chamber, and there it was, carved into a single slab of black crystal. Symbols etched in spirals. Across its face, the language pulsed faintly, as if alive. Sorai touched the surface. The symbols shimmered, and Jack saw something he didn't expect. A depiction. A human, holding hands with two females of Scifi's species, a mother and daughter. Beneath them, twin stars and a cradle of light. Jack stepped back. This already happened, he said, stunned. Thousands of years ago. Scifi's voice was soft. No, it didn't happen yet. This tablet speaks of what will come, a prophecy. Leraya looked at Jack, her voice barely a breath. We are fulfilling it. As they turned to leave, the cave trembled. Cracks formed in the walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. Scifi's eyes widened. The cave is sealed by law. If the bond prophecy is revealed, the world awakens. Jack raised his pistol. Well, let's hope it's not in a bad mood. They rushed out of the cave as roots began closing behind them like the mouth of a beast snapping shut. Once outside, the ground stopped shaking. But the air was different. Warm, alive, and watching. That night, back at the ship, Jack sat alone again. Not in fear, not in confusion, but in wonder. They had seen proof of something greater than any of them. A link between their worlds. A child from two species, not once, but twice. But the prophecy raised a new question. If both women were carrying his child, then who would the future choose to be the one at his side? Jack stared at the holographic image floating above the med scanner. Two tiny forms, two different heartbeats, two lives. Both carried fragments of his DNA and something else entirely. The image spun slowly in the air. He leaned closer, watching. The strands of alien genetic code braid themselves naturally with human ones. No rejection, no failure, no mutation. It was perfect and terrifying. Behind him, Leraya stood with arms folded across her chest, her tail twitching with unease. Why are you so quiet? Jack didn't answer at first. I thought I'd be the last man alive to end up in something like this, he muttered finally. I crash here, help to strangers. And now I might be a father. Twice, Leraya moved closer. You didn't ask for this. I know. That's not what I mean, Jack said. I'm not blaming anyone. But I am asking, how did this happen? She looked away. Leraya, his voice was gentle, but firm. Did you use the bond device on me without asking? Her cheeks flushed purple, their species version of a blush. Not directly. I held it when I thought you were asleep. I whispered the words. I thought maybe it wouldn't do anything. Jack blinked. You did the ritual. Half of it, she said. But I didn't. I mean, we didn't. I know, Jack replied. I believe you. He turned to find Sci-Fi standing behind them. Her arms crossed like her daughter's, only her expression was colder. I completed it, she said flatly. Jack stared. What? You were unconscious from the jungle fever? I used the bond. I activated it while holding your hand. Her voice did not shake. I thought I would die otherwise. I was selfish. Leraya spun toward her. You what? Sci-Fi met her daughter's gaze. You're not the only one who felt something. He saved my life. And I needed to feel connected before I left it. Jack sat down slowly, feeling like the air had been punched out of his chest. So both of you used the device without telling me. Leraya stepped back. I didn't know she did it too. Jack sighed and buried his face in his hands. So, which one of you bonded first? Both women looked at each other, neither spoke. The silence grew thicker. Then Sci-Fi said quietly, It doesn't matter. It does to me, Jack said, standing up. One of you might be carrying the first human-alien child in history. That child could decide everything: how your people see mine, how Earth reacts. This isn't just about feelings anymore. Leraya looked hurt. You think this was a mistake? Jack softened. No, I think it was fate. Mighty. But I need the truth. Because someone set this future in motion. Later that evening, none of them spoke much. Lariah sat in the corridor, her back to the wall, staring at the flickering emergency light. She clutched a small stone in her palm, one her people used for focus and meditation. Sorai remained in the medbay. Resting but alert, her eyes locked on the ceiling as if trying to read the future there. Jack sat near the engine bay, trying to clear his head. The prophecy on the cave wall played over and over in his mind. The human, flanked by two females, one young, one older. Two lights, one destiny. He had a feeling this wasn't coincidence. It was being guided. But by who? Or what? Midnight came. Jack dozed off near the warmth of the backup generator. He awoke to quiet footsteps. Lariah stood before him, her face unreadable. I don't want to fight her, she said. Jack blinked. Your mother. She's proud, strong. I've looked up to her my whole life. And now we're bonded to the same man. It feels wrong. Jack stood slowly. What do you want? I want peace. I want to raise this child with you. I want to learn what it means to care for someone like you do. She reached out and touched his chest. You don't see it, she whispered, but you're changing us. Jack took her hand gently, but said nothing. Then Soray's voice came from the shadows. You speak of peace, but you feel jealousy, Alaya. Flinched, I don't you do, Sorai said, stepping into view. And so do I. Jack held up both hands. Wait, stop, this isn't the way. Sorai looked at him. Then what is? Two children, one father. One bloodline that will change the future. Our people won't accept both, Lariah whispered. They'll want to know who the true bondmate is. Jack stared at both of them. Then, slowly said, maybe. We don't choose who started this. Maybe we choose who finishes it. Sorai tilted her head. And how do we do that? Jack exhaled. Together. That night, the three of them gathered again in the sleeping pod knot. For survival this time, but for understanding. They spoke softly, sharing fears, dreams, memories. Sori told stories of her youth, of forbidden knowledge lost to war. Lariah shared the songs of her people. Jack told them of Earth's history, its pain, its hope. And somewhere in that conversation, something shifted. Not in anger, not in blame, but in unity. They didn't need to fight each other anymore. They just needed to protect what was growing inside them. Two lives that didn't care about who bonded first. Only that they were loved. Asterisk. The message was a mistake. A brief transmission. Sent during Jack's scan of the embryos, bounced off an old orbiting satellite. It was meant to stay local internal, private. But someone on the other end heard it, and they were listening. Jack was in the medbay, fine-tuning the scanner settings again when the emergency signal sounded. Boom. The ship shook as something heavy landed outside. Lariah's head snapped toward the doorway, and Sorai grabbed her spear with trembling hands. Jack checked the screen. 3 life forms, large, armed. One bore the official crest of the Bismuth Council, the high ruling body of Lariah and Soraya's species. They're here, Sorai whispered. They found us. Jack looked at both women. Is that bad? Very, Lariah said. They don't believe in human contact. They think it corrupts the bloodline. They won't accept the children. Jack clenched his jaw. Then we don't give them a choice. Outside, the jungle was silent. Not even the wind dared to move. The 3 council agents stood in front of the ship, cloaked in dark armor, visors glowing. One of them stepped forward, antenna twitching. You have violated sacred law, it said, voice sharp and cold. Alien and human blood do not belong in the same womb. Jack crossed his arms. Funny. Nature disagrees. Another agent lifted a scanning rod. 2 pregnancies, confirmed. You will surrender the offspring and come with us. Lyria stepped in front of Jack, baring her fangs. Touch them, and I'll tear your arms off. The agents didn't flinch. You defy the council's word. Sci-Fi walked out slowly, standing tall despite the weakness in her limbs. The council has grown blind. This union is foretold. We have proof. You refer to the Cave of Prophecy, the third agent said. A myth, lies told to justify impurity. Jack pulled the crystal shard they'd taken from the sacred cave from his pocket and held it up. This myth glows when it senses truth. The crystal shimmered, glowed blue. The agents stepped back slightly, uncertain. But then their leader spoke again. We do not answer to crystals. You will obey or be removed. Suddenly, Sci-Fi collapsed. Jack rushed to her side, catching her before she hit the ground. Her eyes were wide, her body trembling. She's going into prebond convulsions, Lyria cried. The fetus is reacting to stress. Jack lifted her. She needs help now. I will not repeat myself, the lead agent barked. You human release. The woman? Final warning. Lyria's eyes went dark. She leaped. In one motion, she tackled the nearest agent, spear slashing across his chest. Sparks flew. The others raised weapons too late. Jack, holding Sci-Fi, shouted back into the ship. Mao? Inside the ship, Lyria sealed the doors with an emergency lockdown. The jungle outside echoed with shouts and pounding fists. Sci-Fi writhed in pain on the medbed. Jack placed the scanner over her belly, flickered red. The baby's in distress. He said, heartbeat irregular. Blood pressure critical. Lyria hovered near him, her own breathing growing shaky. Jack, I feel dizzy. Jack turned. You too. Lyria collapsed into his arms. Both of them, mother and daughter, were reacting, as if their bodies were connected, as if the bond had now synced them to each other. And to him, he had. To act fast, ship AI, Jack shouted. Run emergency sequence Omega-4. Stimulate fetal protection mode. Inject stabilizer. Command accepted. Preparing nanosite infusion. A needle hissed. Microbots flowed into Sci-Fi's veins, and a second dose for Lyria was readied. Jack injected her manually. Both women fell still. Their chests rose and fell evenly. The babies were safe. For now, hours passed before anyone spoke. Jack sat between them, one hand resting on each of theirs. Lyria stirred first. Did we survive? Jack nodded. Barely. I thought I lost you both. Sci-Fi opened her eyes next. The council? Jack sighed. They're outside, but they've gone quiet. They know something changed. I think the crystal's glow scared them. Lyria looked at the shard, now pulsing faintly in her hand. It responds to the truth, and now it glows for us. Jack stood slowly. Then let's show them what truth looks like. At dawn, Jack stepped outside again, hands raised but no fear in his eyes. The council agents stood where they had the night before, weapons lowered now, confused. Hesitant, he spoke clearly. Your laws are built on fear. But evolution doesn't wait for permission. He pointed toward the ship. Inside, 2 lives are growing. 2 women, warrior and mother, risked everything for something you call impure. But I've seen what's forming inside them. He stepped closer. It's not impurity. It's the next step. The lead agent hesitated. The council must vote. Then vote, Jack said. But know this, if you try to take them, I will fight. Behind him, Lyria and Sci-Fi appeared in the doorway. Together, Standing tall, the crystal glowed brighter, and one by one, the agents stepped back. They didn't attack. They bowed. Back inside, Jack sat with both women. What just happened? He asked, stunned. Sora. I placed a hand on his shoulder. You changed the story. Liraya smiled. They feared you? Then, they followed you. Jack looked at the glowing crystal, and for the first time, he believed it too. This wasn't an accident, this was destiny. Asterisk, it had been 5 days since the council bowed. 5 long, quiet days. No attacks. No messages. No orders from the stars. Just silence. And in that silence, something new was born. Not just fear. Not just survival. But hope. Jack stepped out of the ship that morning, letting the rising sun hit his face. The jungle felt different. Now, less hostile. As if the planet itself had taken a deep breath and calmed behind him. Sora moved slowly, her gait stronger than it had been in weeks. Her wounds had almost fully healed, though her hand still drifted instinctively to her belly as she walked. Liraya followed quietly, holding a datapad Jack had rebuilt from scrap. She had been studying Earth culture, its music, its languages, its history. She found it strange, violent, beautiful. Like him, they gathered beneath the tall trees, where vines hung like curtains around a hidden clearing. The same place where the council once threatened to take everything away. Now it would become a place of something new. Ceremony, but not the kind written in any ancient scroll or sacred law. This one was theirs alone. Are you sure? Kas asked them both, standing before a stone altar Liraya had carved from jungle rock. Sora stepped forward. Our people will return. Some will challenge. Some will still hate. But we won't hide anymore. Liraya nodded. We will show them what this bond means. Jack looked between the two of them, the mother, once his enemy, in suspicion. Now his protector, in silence. The daughter, curious and fierce. Now carrying the future. 2 women. One bloodline, and somehow both had chosen him. He took their hands. Then, let's do it together. They placed their hands on the altar, one by one. The crystal from the cave sat in the center, pulsing like a heart. Sora spoke first. I offer. My name Sora of the Flame Vow. I share my life with the human called Jack. My bond was born in need, but now lives in choice. Liraya followed, voice trembling. I am Liraya of the Rain Wind. I carry his child. I carry our future. I share, not just blood, but spirit. Jack looked at them both, unsure what to say. So he just said what he meant. I'm Jack, just Jack. I didn't plan this. I didn't want to break your world or rewrite your rules, but I will stand by both of you. Not because I have to, because I want to. The crystal flashed, and the jungle held its breath. Later that evening, they sat by the fire near the ship. Liraya leaned against his shoulder, her fingers idly tracing circles on his arm. Her belly had a gentle curve, now barely noticeable, but Jack felt it every time she moved. Sora sat across from them, quietly sharpening a stone blade. But her eyes were softer than before. So, Jack said, breaking the silence, what happens now? Sora looked up. Now? We teach. Teach what? Liraya smiled. That family doesn't follow one path. Jack raised an eyebrow. You think your people will believe it? No, Sora said plainly. Not at first, but they will, Liraya added. When they see what we've built, when they see the children. Jack turned serious. And what if someone tries to take them away? Sora's eyes hardened. Then they'll meet a mother and daughter trained to kill. And a human who survived a death world. Jack laughed. Sounds like a good team. Weeks passed, then. Months. Word spread quietly at first, then louder. across tribes, across regions. A new life had been born, not just in wombs, but in thought. Some called it heresy. Others called it the turning. Council envoys returned, not with weapons, but with questions. What were the babies like? Could they survive? Could they lead? Jack showed them the medical data. Lariah sang songs that echoed through the trees. Sorai told ancient stories, but changed the ending each time. She made sure the story always ended. With peace. The day came when both children were born, not hours apart. Not days, but minutes, twins yet from different mothers. Lariah's child was light-skinned, curious, with wide human eyes and silver markings on her cheeks. Sarai's child was darker, quieter, but strong, his grip like iron, even as a newborn. The tribe gathered, even council elders came, and when the infants opened their eyes for the first time, the crystal glowed again, brighter than ever. "They are the bridge," one elder whispered, "between blood and choice, between law and love." Sorry. Turn to Jack. "You didn't just change us, human. You changed history." Lariah smiled, holding her child close, "And you didn't even mean to." Jack stood between them, arms around both women. He looked down at the children, then up at the sky, and for the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged. Not to one, not to two, but to something greater. A family born of war, fire, trust, and something even more powerful, a bond that no one could break.